Hello everyone, and I think we are live. Today I am back with another reading, this time a political historical passage. Okay, let's start with the reading. The following is a speech given by Benjamin Franklin to the Constitutional Convention on September 17th, 1787. The convention was deciding whether to ratify the final version of the U.S. Constitution. Dear Mr. President, I confess that there are several parts of this Constitution which I do not at present approve, but I am not sure I shall never approve them, for having lived long I have experienced many instances of being obliged by better information or fuller consideration to change opinions even on important subjects which I once thought right, but found to be otherwise. It is therefore that the older I grow, the more apt I am to doubt my own judgment, and to pay more respect to the judgment of others. Most men, indeed, as well as most sects in religion, think themselves in possession of all truth, and that wherever others differ from them it is so far error. Still, a Protestant in a dedication tells the Pope that the only difference between our churches in their opinions of the certainty of their doctrines is the Church of Rome is infallible and the Church of England is never in the wrong. But though many private persons think almost as highly of their own infallibility as that of their sect, few express it so naturally as a certain French lady, who in a dispute with her sister said, "I don't know how it happens, sister, but I meet with nobody but myself that's always in the right." In these sentiments, sir, I agree to this Constitution with all its faults, if they are such, because I think a general government necessary for us, and there is no form of government but what may be a blessing to the people if well administered, and believe farther than this is likely to be well administered for a course of years, and can only end in despotism, as other forms have done before it, when the people shall become so corrupted as to need despotic government, being incapable of any other. I doubt too whether any other convention we can obtain may be able to make a better constitution, for when you assemble a number of men to have the advantage of their joint wisdom, you inevitably assemble those men, all their prejudices, their passions, their errors of opinion, their local interest, and their selfish views. From such an assembly can a perfect production be expected. It therefore astonishes me, sir, to find this system approaching so near to perfection as it does, and I think it will astonish our enemies, who are waiting with confidence to hear that our counsels are confounded like those of the builders of Babel, and that our states are on the point of separation, only to meet hereafter for the purpose of cutting one another's throat. Thus I consent, sir, to this Constitution, because I expect no better, because I am not sure that it is not the best. The opinions I have had of its errors I sacrifice to the public good. I have never whispered a syllable of them abroad. Within these walls they were born, and here they shall die. If every one of us is returning to our constituents were to report the objections he has had to it, and endeavor to gain partisans in support of them, we might prevent its being generally received and thereby lose all the salutary effects and great advantages resulting naturally in our favor among foreign nations as well as among ourselves from our real or apparent unanimity. Unanimity. There it is. Much of the strength and efficiency of any government in procuring and securing happiness to the people depends on opinion, on the general opinion of the goodness of the government, as well as of the wisdom and integrity of its governors. I hope, therefore, that for our own sakes as part of the people, and for the sake of posterity, we shall act heartily and unanimously in recommending this Constitution, if approved by Congress and confirmed by the conventions, wherever our influence may extend, and turn our future thoughts and endeavors to the means of having it well administered. On the whole, sir, I cannot help expressing a wish that every member of the convention who may still have objections to it would with me, on this occasion, doubt a little of his own infallibility, and to make manifest our unanimity to put his name to this instrument. Okay, that's the passage. A few tongue twisters here and there. Infallibility, unanimity. There, you need to speak it kind of slowly, or you just wrap your tongue. So, the first question. The author's central claim in the passage is that the Constitution will have to suffice until it is proven to be inadequate. The objections of the Constitution are trivial and should be disregarded by the Assembly. The objection to the Constitution can be dismissed unless they are unanimous. The Constitution is adequate and should be passed without objection. Now, A and D is similar. B is the objections are trivial, which means that he kind of disregard them. The objections to the Constitution can be dismissed unless they are unanimous. So B and C is also similar in saying that the criticism is untrue, it is unwarranted, and A and D accepts that criticism. So we need to look at the evidence. Here, on the whole, sir, I cannot help expressing a wish that every member of the convention who may still have objections to it would with me on this occasion doubt a little of his own infallibility, and to manifest in our unanimity. So basically, he is saying that he is asking the constituents who disagree with the Constitution to have some leniency and just let it pass, because the Constitution is adequate, right? Because he thinks that they should just cast aside their doubts a little bit and accept the Constitution, which means that B and C is wrong. He does not disregard the criticism, but he does not say the Constitution will have to suffice. That implies that the Constitution is bad. So D is the correct answer here. Next question. In the passage, Franklin characterizes himself as someone who is sarcastic, experienced, cynical, indecisive. Now, sarcastic, this is not humor. Cynical, probably not. Experienced or indecisive. If you read the evidence here, for having lived long, he have experienced many instances of being obliged. It is therefore that the older I grow, the more apt I am to doubt my own judgment. So he means that because he has lived long, he has learned to look at other viewpoints, which is B, not indecisive. You may think that A, I doubt my own judgment, therefore I am indecisive. But this is not indecisive. this is consideration, right? Because he is experienced, he considers many opinions, not just himself. So that is not indecisive, that is prudence. B, experienced, is correct. So which choice provides the best evidence? So now each line here corresponds to one answer, and we immediately see that it is therefore that older I grow fits the experience best, because every other thing talks about recommendations and the Constitution and does not relate. So A is the correct answer. In line 41, the word local mostly means the errors of opinion, the local interest, and the selfish views. Obviously, local does not mean geographical here, or nearby. This does not refer to a real tangible place, but rather it has a second meaning that means their private interests. Provincial is a kind of private, but it refers to the administration and therefore is wrong. D, domestic, is the correct near synonym for private here. If you have ever heard of domestic trade, domestic tourism, domestic violence, all of that means private. According to the passage, the main objection to immediate passage of the Constitution is that it is unpopular, despotic, imperfect, partisan. In these sentiments, I agree to this Constitution, because I think a general government is necessary for us, and there is no form of government but what may be a blessing to the people, if well administered. So if you see, I agree to this Constitution with all its faults. All its faults, which means that the Constitution is imperfect. That suggests C. But some may say that it is despotic, because he refers to it as if the people become so corrupted that a government, despotic government, is needed. But he is only referring to a hypothetical situation, not the passage. Now, some may say unpopular because they are not signed, but it is not the case. Partisan is simply unrelated. It is imperfect. The Constitution is imperfect. Over the course of the passage, the main focus shifts from an acknowledgement of criticism to a dismissal of its validity, an admission of a problem to the proposal of a solution, the objections to the Constitution can be dismissed, an argument for action to a summary of guiding principles. Now, D is obviously wrong, because they may argue that they need to doubt themselves, but there's no principle here, only the signing of the Constitution. The objections of the Constitutions can be dismissed unless they are unanimous. No, like I said, he does not dismiss the objections, right? C is wrong. B, the admission of a problem to the proposal of a solution, or an acknowledgement of criticism to dismissal of its validity. Now, the admission of a problem, it may be the Constitution, but the proposal of a solution, the passage has to do with criticism, objections. There is solution to such that he said. Now, how do I phrase this? First, he says that the objections are valid, but they should cast aside their opinions and agree to the Constitution, right? So he may admit that there is a problem. Hang on, let's go over the passage. The wording here is it's very similar, so we need to see it again as to answer it correctly. Now, here, this is the problem, right? And then this is the solution. But if you see here, read this. From such an assembly can a perfect production be expected. It therefore astonished me that this system approaching so near to perfection. Said, thus I consent, sir, because I expect no better. Right? He thinks this version is the best, and he cannot be sure that other versions will be better than it. So that means that the objection to this imperfect constitution is invalid, right? Because it is the best that they currently have, and they cannot argue against it. So, which answer it is? It is A, an acknowledgement of criticism to a dismissal of its validity, not B, because it leaves out the perfect constitution part. A acknowledges everything. A is the correct answer. Franklin attributes the Constitution's flaws to the fact that it was written very quickly. The people wrote it had their own opinions. The citizens were not consulted. The writers were trying to appear unanimous when they are not. What do you guys think? It is B, right? Everyone knows. Because for when you assemble the men, you have their prejudices, their passions, their errors, and their selfish views. It is B. And for that, this is B too, because it is the evidence is in that exact passage. The main comparison Franklin draws between the assembly and churches is in the stubborn adherence to doctrine, dedication to promoting the truth, unwillingness to accept failure, or blindness to their weaknesses. Now, the first paragraph says that people believe in their own infallibility, right? Infallibility means that they are never wrong. So, many private persons think highly of their own infallibility as of that of their sect. So infallibility means an individual is never wrong. Never wrong is not dedicated to promoting the truth. Never wrong does not mean they don't accept failure or their stubborn adherence to the doctrine, because that relates to the church. We're talking both about the assembly and their churches. And so, not saying that you are wrong is blindness to their weaknesses. You don't want to see your weaknesses, and therefore you say that you are always correct. D is the correct answer here. The purpose of the French lady. Few expresses so naturally as a French lady who in a dispute said, "I don't know how it happens, but I meet nobody but myself that's always in the right," which means everyone is wrong. I am only and only correct. I cannot be wrong. Which it is not to ridicule the lady, but it is rather to point out a universal truth, because he said that everyone thinks they are always correct. C is the correct answer. And the final question, general mostly means on the general opinion. Where do you hear this phrase? On the news. General means overall opinion. It is A, overall. Here is the recap of the answers. If you have missed any, you can go back, check the passage, check the answers, see for yourself why they are correct, read slower. Happy reading, read more, and you will get better. Thanks for studying. I will see you soon.